Hi everyone. I thought I'd start doing some more regular and informal updates of everything that's going on to my gardens. And I'm going to be posting these to my Patreon page, mainly to thank all of you who are patrons and have continued to support this project for your very generous contributions. Well, autumn has definitely arrived here in the gardens with cooler weather, more rain, and lower levels of sunlight. Although we haven't had a frost yet, it's definitely a point of transition in the gardens, and there's a lot of work to do. One of the big jobs over the next few weeks is to harvest a lot of food, including the squash that's in the simple garden behind me and in 4 other of the gardens. These will all have to be harvested, cleaned, and moved somewhere inside so that they can continue to ripen and hopefully store right through the winter. There's also a lot of main crop potatoes left in the ground in the simple garden, although all of the potatoes are harvested from the other gardens already. I'll have to dig these up in the next few days or weeks and store them in my root cellar so that I can have them over winter, and then this bed will be prepared for next year's crops. There's a lot of other root crops in the ground, including parsnip, carrots, and beetroot. I'm going to be harvesting them intermittently over the next few weeks, but eventually I'm going to harvest all of the carrots and put them in sand or sawdust and store them in my root cellar, as well as the beetroot. But the parsnip I'll probably leave in the ground and dig them as needed over the winter. There's also a fair amount of work in cleaning up all the other crops, including the runner beans and some of the remnants of peas, and making sure that a lot of the overwintering crops are cleaned up enough and protected into the winter. Some of the beds will be dug and prepared for next spring, others will be sown with a green manure, and then there's also crops such as garlic and overwintering onions that will be planted in. Of course, many of the strong brassica plants will continue to produce and grow right through the winter. I've started to pull out all of the warm season crops from my polytunnel gardens, including the tomatoes and cucumbers, and replace them with winter or overwintering crops. There's also a lot of autumn and late season crops already planted in this garden, and this will supply a lot of food over the next few months. I also need to clear out all of the summer crops out of the larger black plot polytunnel, including the tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers and aubergine, and then to plant in a lot of overwintering crops and salad greens. And after I've finished all the tasks of preparing the family scale gardens in the 2 polytunnels for the winter months, there's still a lot of work to do. This includes looking after a lot of the other smaller growing spaces that I have, managing all the compost piles, cleaning up all the tools and equipment and storage areas, and then getting into the really hard work of establishing proper growing spaces in the much larger black plot. The more of this work I can do in the autumn and over winter, the more I'll be able to explore next year, and that's kind of the point of this project. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the format of these less formal videos that I hope to be producing on a more regular basis. But most importantly, thank you for continuing to be patrons of this project. Your support is greatly appreciated.